Hey guys, my name is Damien Nash and thank you for joining me. Now today we're going to be talking about leadership lessons or leadership advice from a father-in-law. Now let's face it, in our culture today, there has been a lot of leaders that have fallen because of misuse of power, misconduct, or even moral failures. But why is this? I believe, and we see this, that there are so many times in our corporations and organizations today that we're focusing on logical tests or personality tests or assessments, but we're not really looking at hard assessments. I want to share a story with you that has application for us today. So a couple thousands of years ago, there was this leader who led his people into a desert. Now, some historians say that it was more than 1 million people in this desert. Now, he was the only judge in the land. And so from morning to night, he was judging the people. Now, his father-in-law came and visited him and saw this process and actually told him, this is not good. And he pulled him to the side and said, listen to my advice as I want to help you raise up leaders and delegate your power throughout the land. And he gave him advice like this. Teach them his decrees and instructions and show them the way that they are to live and how they are to behave. But select capable men from all the people, men who fear God, trustworthy men who hate dishonest gain, and appoint them as officials over thousands, hundreds, fifties, and tens. Now, the first thing we see here to qualify as a leader is, number one, a leader must be teachable. Now, I know that there's a questions like, Damien, how do you find teachable people? Well, throughout my life, I had several great leaders, but I saw 4 qualities of a teachable leader. Number one, they listen before they speak. Oftentimes, when a lot of people are speaking, they try to hold their opinions to themselves and they listen. Number 2 is they ask questions. Now, these questions are not meant to be nosy, but these questions are for growth. They ask questions for growth. Number 3 is that they ask for help. These individuals don't believe that they know everything. They humble themselves and ask for help. And number 4 is that these individuals usually have a system to record things. Maybe they carry a notepad or an iPad or even a computer, but they bring these objects with them to always record their findings or the answer to the questions that they ask. Number 2 goes with number 1. He says, teach them their decrees, his decrees, so they can live and behave correctly. Now, do you have decrees? If you're a leader watching this, do you have your own decrees or ordinances or even values that you live by? Now, if you're a company and you start building your HR department, you need to start establishing your ordinances, your values, the morals that every individual should be living by in your organization. And so you want a person who is teachable so they can learn these things. Now, there are 2 things that goes with teaching. Number 1 is the education part, but number 2 is the warning. So in this particular point, I want to show you that you need to create in those values the boundaries and limits that they're leading by and ruling with. Why? Because you want to start protecting your people and you want to protect the leader so they can all live in peace in your organization. So number 3, this is one of my favorite points. The father-in-law said, I want you to pick out capable or able men. Now, that word in the Hebrew is pronounced kayil, and it means strength and influence. Now, as a leader, you need strength. Why? To stay in the ordinance or the boundaries and the limits, but you also need influence. And now influence is defined as somebody who is affecting someone's character or behavior. Now, personally, as a leader, if you're a leader watching this, you need to have the character, the experience, the knowledge, and even some of the successes so you can influence somebody else. This word kayil is also an army term, but it's not just limited to men. It was also used for women. And this word is for a virtuous woman. Now, if you are a leader and a woman listening to this, this is very encouraging because that means that you need to live a virtuous life. And also, as a kayil woman, you have a righteous lifestyle as a leader. Now, number 4, as the qualifications of a leader, is a fear of God, a fear of God. Now, please do not cut me off here. I think in our organizations, from the church all the way to Fortune 500 companies, we have lost our fear of God. And what does this really mean? It's a morally reverent person, a morally reverent person. We have lost our morals, and we need to go back to our morals. This means that we are not called to be worshiped, but to humble ourselves. We are called to take ownership of our position, but serve the people that are under us. One of the proverbs that is associated with this point says, when the godly are in authority, the people rejoice, but when the wicked are in power, they groan. Now, I want you to look at the organization you are in right now and also the leaders that are in position. Are the people rejoicing or are the people groaning? Really take some time and think about that. Now, the last qualifications of a leader that the father-in-law talked about was somebody who is trustworthy. Now, this word actually means somebody who is honest. Again, they are not trying to steal or cheat anything, whether it's power, whether it's money from the organization. They're honest about their dealings. Also, this word is a feminine word, which means somebody who is stable and faithful. You have to be stable in your dealings and in your leadership, and you have to be faithful. Are you faithful? Really ask yourself that question. Now, if you're an HR department and you're trying to grow the company, think about that. I need to hire people who are trustworthy, faithful, and stable. They're not calling out all the time. And I know that we need to apply grace and mercy to some situations. But these people are coming to work on time, and they're working while they're at work, and they're not really talking bad about the company, but they're faithful to their position, and they're faithful to the people that they are serving. Here's a question I want to pose to you today that you can write down in the comments below. What are some other qualifications of a good leader? Please write those things down, and I want to converse with you in the comments below. Thank you so much for joining me. Again, this week we talked about leadership lessons or leadership advice from a father-in-law. If this video added any value into your life today, please consider to like, share, and subscribe. I'll see you next time.